What's good, family? Today I want to recap on the Pequot. Now, we all kind of understand the Pequot massacre and the Pequot War to an extent, but Pequots showed us something that we needed to really completely understand, which was when they were taking Indians from their native territory and sending them to other places, they started calling them Negroes, right? And in this particular case, I want to show you a couple of things. And probably before we get started for real, let's start with what actually happened to the Pequot.
As the Puritans of New England expanded into Native American lands, tensions mounted between settlers and the Indians. This friction eventually exploded into the Pequot War of 1637.
The English really wanted to dominate this land, and they wanted to settle the land with their own people and displace the Native Americans.
When colonists built fences on Indian land and started to compete for the same game, Indians became infuriated. And the colonists became enraged when Indians resisted their attempts to convert them to Christianity. Hostility increased as both sides competed for trading relationships with the Dutch. And finally, the Pequots attacked.
Tensions broke out into a Pequot raid on English settlements in Connecticut. This gave the English an excuse to then put together an expedition to attack the Pequot settlements.
The English allied themselves with the Pequots' neighboring Indian enemies, including the Narragansetts of Rhode Island and the Mohegans of Connecticut.
The Pequots were starting to lose their power and their influence.
The English torched Pequot villages, savagely burning hundreds of Indians to death. By the end of the Pequot War, the tribe was nearly annihilated. It was such a brutal and catastrophic war that even the Pequot enemies who had allied themselves with the colonists were stunned by the savagery.
This was quite a shock to the native allies of the English, who were not used to waging war in such a lethal and devastating manner. Their tendency would be to capture these peoples, take them back home as captives, often to intermarry into their families or to work as servants and even possibly slaves for them, but certainly not to slaughter so many people and certainly not to slaughter so many women and children.
So you'll be happy to know that the Pequot still exists. And in 1990s, this family was the Pequot family, the ones that actually started a casino. Now let's talk about that.
In 1993, Donald Trump's gambling empire was on shaky ground. His 3 casinos in Atlantic City had all just emerged from bankruptcy, and only a year before, some tough new competition arrived on the scene. Foxwoods, a Native American-owned casino in nearby Connecticut. Under federal law, Native Americans don't pay taxes on casinos located on their land. And in 1993, Trump sued the government, alleging the law gave an unfair advantage to a certain class of citizens. Later that year, Trump was called to testify before a House subcommittee on Native American affairs, and he got into a heated exchange with Congressman George Miller, Democrat from California.
Is this you discussing Indian blood? We're going to judge people by whether they have Indian blood, whether they're qualified to run a gaming casino or not?
That probably is me, absolutely. Because I'll tell you what, if you look at some of the reservations that you've approved, you, sir, in your great wisdom have approved, I will tell you right now, they don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like the Indians. Now, maybe we say politically correct or not politically correct. They don't look like Indians to me, and they don't look like Indians to Indians. And a lot of people are laughing at it, and you're telling how tough it is, how rough it is to get approved. Well, you go up to Connecticut, and you look. Now, they don't look like Indians to me, sir.
Thank God that's not the test of whether or not people have rights in this country or not, whether or not they pass your look test.
Depends whether or not you're approving it, sir.
No, it's not a question whether I'm approving it. It's not a question whether I'm approving it. Mr. Trump, you know in the history of this country where we've heard this discussion before, they don't look Jewish to me.
Oh, really?
They don't look Indian to me. They don't look Italian to me.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a test for whether people could go into business or not go into business, whether they could get a bank loan. You're too black, you're not black enough.
So yeah, Donald Trump was railing against these people, the Pequot. And this is a picture from the opening night. They had Quincy Jones with them, right? But the Pequot was always a melanated tribe, and that was the Pequot of Connecticut. Now, there's also the Pequot of Massachusetts.
This connection, I think this bond, first of all, it's hard for tribal people to have trust. This kind of trust, you got people coming on the reservation, digging up feelings and emotions.
I made the arrangements with Consul to have Dr. Silliman come in and speak to Consul about the program. And then I worked really hard on behalf of Consul to help develop the tribal protocol for this program because there was a lot of hesitancy because this had never been done before. The historical record is, not good with anthropologists, archaeologists going into Native American lands, taking things and not returning them.
Initially, I was not one that was very favorable to archaeologists coming out and digging on our land. But since meeting Dr. Steve over the last 10 years, I've changed my attitude. Dr. Steve does a very good job making sure that he collaborates well with the tribe and with the things that he finds. So he's not just interested in the subject of matter, he's also interested in the people that the stuff belongs to. So I really appreciate having a chance to see that there are archaeologists that are out there that are learning to be more sensitive to the people and the things that belong to them.
I am Norma Parrish, and one of the elders of Eastern Pequot Tribal Nation. I'm 94 years old, and I've been coming here when we first started to explore the reservation to find the artifacts that were left here. The basements, the chimneys, pots, and my goodness, who'd have thought a house was out here that Mother Earth covered up. However, we're digging it up and finding it again, and it's great to have it. And I'm so grateful for the help that we're getting from the students in the schools. We'll never forget them.
So yeah, there was Pequot in Connecticut, and those are the ones that started Foxwoods Casino. That's the one that Donald Trump was against, right? Then there was the Pequot out in Massachusetts that the University of Massachusetts was doing archaeological studies for. But historically, like we said, they took them to different places during the war as captives, right? And one of the places is in Bermuda. I think it was called St. David. But these people also realized that they are Pequot. And they knew they didn't just take Pequot down there. They took Pequot and some more folks. Well, today we're talking about the Pequot. So let's get to that. All right, check this out.
I understand we're at Fort St. Catholic Beach here where...
Yeah, this in the background here is Fort St. Catherine's Beach, as well as the old fort. Many years ago, like I said, 1609, the Sea Venture sunk, was shipwrecked out here, and the passengers, the 140 men and 10 women, came ashore here, and in essence started the colonization of Bermuda.
It's a blessing. I like your, tell me about that. Where did you get that?
Well, my good friend Anawan Reed, he gave me this here as a gift towards my my higher learnings towards the Eastern War dance and doing well in it. So he'll donate some to my regalia.
Very nice.
Wow, I mean, just to be in this regalia is an honor. Mother bear me this for me, and it's just an honor because, like I said before, we are survivors, so it's like, for me to be my cultural dress, it means a lot to me because it means that, hey, I'm alive, we survived, we're still here.
The hard part about with the Bermudian natives is, trying to link them to what tribe. We know we all look alike, but to try to track down like who belongs to Narragansett, Wampanoag, Pequot, what fractions. I think that's what's going to be challenging.
Sometimes when I'm here, I would just double take. I think I've seen a cousin. I'm ready to call out to him and say, oh, so no, that's not.
A lot of similarities.
Very similar. Their features, but not even just features. I mean, features is one thing, but even the way how we interact and how warm we feel, which is a great thing.
So, there's a lot of families that at Bermuda, it's not just Pequot connection.
No.
There's other connections.
There's other connections as well. Like, I know a few people that said the Cherokee, Micmac, then my aunt, who's married to my uncle, she's a Shinnecock, and she met my uncle. Yeah, there's a lot of other tribes, but what our community tries to do is bring them all together.
So yes, family, the Pequot still exists, and the stories and the ways still applies to all of us.